Hey guys, so today we are going to be making some trees. We're going to be making some trees without leaves, and we're really going to be focusing on the trunk of the tree, which is the widest part, and then also the limbs of the tree that do branch out. So the very first thing you're going to do is put your name on the back of your paper. So I put Miss Puckett because that's the name, and then you're going to do your class code. You're gonna flip it over, and now you have a really long sheet of paper. So I totally think that you can fill it all the way up from top to bottom. So you are going to start out with making some vertical lines. Stretch them from the top to the bottom. If you would like a ruler, I can definitely give that to you as well. So you don't want to make them super skinny, itty bitty trees, right? You want to make sure that the trunk is kind of thick. So I'm going to come out a little bit. And I'm going to make the trunk of my tree. Now, trees, we know they're not perfect. So if you have a little waviness to your line, that is totally fine with me. Okay, I definitely have more space, so I'm gonna add more trees. I'm gonna try to make it a little bit more interesting by making the trees different sizes. So I might make this one even wider. Awesome. And then I'm gonna fit one more tree in here. I am leaving a little space for limbs, which we're gonna talk about in a second. But right now I'm just focused on making the trunks of my trees. Coming up on the other side. I made that one really wavy, right? So now that we have beautiful trunks, the limbs are the parts of the tree that they're a little bit thicker than the tiny branches, and they kind of support them. So I'm just going to erase an area where I would like to see a limb. Okay, it crossed over here, so I'm going to erase that too. Because these two things are now overlapping. One is on top of the other, so you can't see everything behind it. Okay, maybe this guy even splits off into two. Nice. Okay, so now that I have one up here, I think I need something down here to kind of give it balance. Balance is when two things look equal. So again, I'm erasing where I'm adding my limb. And there we go. So now I'm gonna add some limbs to my middle tree. I probably wanna add them in different spots than my first tree. That will make it look more like it comes from nature. So I have one here, so I dropped it down a little bit for this one. It's overlapping right here, so I'm erasing. I think maybe this one's just gonna come to a point, because I'm trying to make them all look a little bit different. Okay, and maybe I just want one on this one. So now I'm on my final tree. I'm trying to put branches in different areas. Oh, it overlaps here, so I need to erase. So I just drew a V, and then I connected it to my two straight lines. Okay, I don't really have a branch really down low, and to show that beautiful variety, I might put one. So there we go. So now I feel really good about my trees. I'm showing overlapping one object over another. I'm also showing variety because one tree is a little bit thinner, one's a little bit wider, and one is even wavy. Okay, so I also see that I filled up my paper from top to bottom. So I think I am actually ready for my Sharpie. So Sharpie is for tracing only. It's not the time to add anything new. So I'm gonna go over the lines that I already see. Okay, and I'm gonna trace all these lines. If I forgot to erase my line, because remember there used to be lines right here, now would be a good time. Don't trace over those if you see them. Now you really start to see the overlapping. You see that this branch is sprouting out over top of this tree, and this branch is over top of that tree, but this branch is going over that one. So you really start to see the overlap, and you're creating a really great artistic illusion of depth. So you see that I am erasing all of my pencil lines, because even though I tried my best, there are still pencil lines that I didn't quite trace right on top of. So once I clean up my paper, I am ready to use my oil pastels. Now, oil pastels are a little bit like crayons, except they're made of two ingredients. They're made of oil, and they're also made of pigment, which is a fancy word for color. Okay, so with these, I'm gonna fill in my trees with patterns. So as we know, a pattern is something that repeats, and you're gonna start top to bottom, filling the whole tree up with pattern. So I think I'm gonna start off with a zigzag line. So I am taking my time here, thinking about maybe I could add something in between my zigzags. We are gonna do something called a wax resist, or resist, and that's where we are going to paint these, and wherever we have the oil pastel, our paint is not going to stick. So I do not want to color my trees in. I just want to add some pattern. Okay, and I can even go in between that and maybe do some straight lines. Creating a pattern, something that repeats all the way down my tree. Okay, again, I want to show variety, so I'm going to pick a different color, and then maybe I'll do some curved lines for this tree. Filling the tree up from top to bottom. And also being mindful of where it overlaps to not break that illusion. Okay, my last tree, using another different color. I think I'm gonna do some wavy lines. stretching the top. And even go down here. Coming out here. Awesome. And then I can keep going. I can add in more. Awesome. So I left a lot white because I do know that I am going to be painting these trees, but I have a pattern on each of them. I showed a variety because I use different colors, and I also use different types of lines and shapes. Okay, so you are going to be using something called liquid watercolor. Liquid watercolor is watercolor that already has the water mixed in, so you don't need to add any extra. You will need your water cup to clean your paintbrush. Remember, we are using our SpongeBob. So we go to our water cup, go to our SpongeBob, draw an X, and then you may pick out the color that you want. So think about how you might not want to use the same color that you use with your oil pastel. You might want it to be different. And now you really start to see that resist. Remember, that's where the paint does not want to be next to the oil pastel. So I'm being really careful. But I'm filling all that in. Awesome. So now I'm going to go over to my next tree. I want to do a different color, so I need to go to my water cup, scratch the bottom, go over to SpongeBob, draw an X. And I'm filling in that whole space. Taking my time. To get all those little areas. Awesome. Now I'm going to go to my last tree. Again, I'm going to use a different color to show variety. I want to make sure they all look different. Water cup, because I got to clean that paintbrush. Going over to SpongeBob, drawing an X. And I'm filling in with blue. I accidentally got a little bit in there, but that's okay. Awesome. So once I have all 3 trees filled up, I am going to take this to the drying rack. And then the next time we come in, we will be painting our background, but we have to let this dry first. I hope you enjoyed creating your trees. Okay, so now that we have our beautiful trees, we need to paint the background. Again, I want to kind of show variety. So I think I want to use a color that I have yet to use for my paint. So I'm going to look over here and see which colors I haven't used. So let's see. I haven't used red for my paint. You can see that I use red oil pastels, but there's only so many colors, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and paint my background red. I'm gonna go around the trees first. And you see how slow I am being? Because I'm trying really hard not to mix them on the tree. Mix the 2 colors on the tree. So I'm just taking my time. This is that part about being an artist where you have to be so patient. If you rush, it won't look as good as if you took your time. I'm filling in the whole area. Remember, I'm going around the tree first and then I fill in the middle. I'm gonna go around the tree first and then I fill in the middle. I'm only using one color back here because it just gives me a background for all the beautiful colors that I have already used. So you can see it's getting really light, so I might go back and get more of my color. If you see a little puddle like that right there, that just means you need to smooth it out. So I got a little puddle in here. I'm gonna smooth it out. I'm going over here. Remember, going around the tree first and then filling in the rest of the area. And then I'm gonna go to the bottom. Awesome. So all of my tree is filled up from top to bottom. I used a variety of colors. I used one color in the background so I can show off all the hard work I did on my trees. And I love it. So I hope you enjoyed painting your background of your beautiful tree.